explain. I just move. I don't explain my intentions. You just feel when I decide. No warnings, no confessions, just silence before the tide. I walk in, room goes quiet, not a word but they comply. No need to raise my voice, I let the pressure multiply. They watch me like a question, I never answer twice. You can read it in my eyes, but you won't read it right. No wasted breath, no second guess. You either know or you don't. I don't explain my intention. You just feel when I decide. No warnings, no confessions, just silence before the tide. I don't explain my intentions. I don't need you on my side. By the time you start to question, I've already crossed the line. I don't argue, I adjust, then I cut without a sound. You were looking for a reason, I was already moving out. No speeches, no emotions, no closure left behind. You call it cold and ruthless, I call it state of mind. You think silence means weakness, that's your first mistake. Every move already planned, every risk already paid. I don't chase, I don't prove, I don't ask, I don't lose. By the time you see the pattern, it's too late to make a move. I don't explain my intentions. I don't give you any sign. No shadows, no reflections, just the end you didn't find. I don't explain my intention. That's the reason I survived. You were waiting for a warning, I was already gone that night. No words, no trace, just decisions you never saw coming. I never had to say a word to make a room go cold. My silence has a temperature and nobody has to be told. It enters 3 steps before me, sits down before I do. By the time I pour the whiskey, every man knows what is true. I watch strong men recalibrate the moment that I pause, not from anything I said to them, but everything I wasn't. The absence of my anger is the loudest thing I own. A man who doesn't threaten has a thunder all his own. My silence is the weapon that no one can disarm. You can't negotiate with nothing, can't prepare against the calm. Every word I do not say to you lands harder than a blow. The most dangerous thing in any room is what I didn't show. My silence is the sentence, already signed and sealed. The thread that needs no voice to carry it, the wound before it's real. My silence has a body that stands beside me, dressed in black. It doesn't speak, it doesn't gesture, it simply does not look back. Every room we've ever entered filed its shape into the wall. My silence is the tallest thing about me, I'm already tall. They came with words prepared like weapons, speeches sharpened overnight. I gave them 7 seconds of my stillness and watched them lose the fight. Because noise requires an opponent, silence requires nothing at all. The man who answers everything with quiet never has to watch them fall. He just watches them decide to fall alone. I didn't build this as a strategy. It grew the way scar tissue grows. Over every time I spoke too soon and gave away what no one knows. My silence is the weapon that no one can disarm. You can't negotiate with nothing, can't prepare against a calm. Every word I do not say to you lands harder than a blow. The most dangerous thing in any room is what I didn't show. My silence is the sentence, already signed and sealed. The thread that needs no voice to carry it, the wound before it's real. My silence has a hunger. It walks the perimeter of every conversation, tasting what is said, filing what is hidden, recording every desperation. I have sat across from men who needed me to react, needed my noise to validate their own. And I gave them the one gift that broke them completely. I gave them the sound of being alone. Because silence, aimed deliberately, is not peace, it is pressure. Applied without a fingerprint, it is the space where fear is all the work for me. It is the room before the verdict, where the guilty man sits perfectly still here's absolutely everything in the nothing that I give him. My dog learned early not to bark when I go quiet like this. He reads the shifting atmosphere, knows what the stillness is. Move through rooms together like weather moving through a field. Two forces that announce themselves by what they don't reveal. So pour the glass in silence, let the night lean in to hear. The most dangerous man alive, brother, is the one who disappears into the quiet, into the dark, into the space between your heartbeats, where you feel, recognizes his face. My silence is the weapon that no one can disarm. You can't negotiate with nothing, can't prepare against the calm. Every word I do not say to you lands harder than a blow. The most dangerous thing in any room. Walk into the room and counted everything before I took my seat. The exits and the lies and the wolves beneath the greed. I read the hand before the card was played. I read the eye before the lie was made. They thought I wasn't paying attention, I was paying for everything, with silence as my trade. I have a gift that looks like distance, looks like absence, looks like frost. But every word that passed that table, I collected what it cost. I see the thing, been behind the thing. I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of the room whose name is never heard. But nothing moves without me knowing, nothing shifts without my red. I don't speak because I'm empty, I don't speak because I feed on silence, on the watching, on the space between the sounds. The man who says a lease in any room is the one who runs the ground. They always underestimate the quiet ones. That's the oldest tax they pay. They talk around me like I'm furniture, like I'm somewhere far away. And I let them, God, I let them fill the room with noise. 'Cause every word a man speaks carelessly is a tool that I employ. Not a word without a reason, not a sentence without weight. Every time I open up my mouth, it's already far too late for whoever I was watching. I see the thinker behind the thing, I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of the room, whose name is never heard, but nothing move without me knowing, nothing shiver without my red. I don't speak because I'm empty, I don't speak because I feed on silence, on the watching, on the space between the sound. The man who says the least in any room is the one who runs the ground. In the dream I made entirely of windows, every wall in me is glass. I watch a man lose everything in real time across a dinner table set for 8. He didn't know I saw the moment when the damage became fate. I said nothing, drank my whiskey, watched the whole thing come to pass. Some rooms are burning long before the fire, I just recognize the gas. I have built entire maps of people from the way they hold a glass, from the pause before the answer, from the questions that they pass. The world is always speaking to the ones who don't reply. My dog and I sit at the window late when all the city dims. He watches what moves in the darkness, I watch what moves in them. We don't discuss our observations, we just sit in silence like two scholars in their coats. So pour the last one, face the window, let the city be the page. The man who watches everything and speaks once is the wisest man on stage. I see the thing behind the thing, I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of the room, whose name is never heard, but nothing move without me knowing, nothing shiver without my red. I don't speak because I'm empty, I don't speak because I feed on silence, on the watching, on the space between the sound. The man who says the least in any room is the one who runs the ground. You said it, I already saw before you did it. The hallway, watching. I watched the hunger and I named it, then I buried it alive. I watched the rage come up the staircase, looked it in the eye, said not tonight, said not ever, said you don't live here anymore. Then I locked the door, then I swallowed the key, and I walked across the floor. I have killed every version of myself that wanted without reason. Every craving, every weakness, every inappropriate season. They didn't die without a fight. They screamed, they begged, they burned, but the mind was already the landlord, and the body had to learn. I don't react, I don't collapse, I don't chase what the body asks. When the fire rises up in me, I watch it, I name it, I let it be. Then I choose, then I move, then I leave it where it stood. The animal is still alive in me. I'm just the one who understood. There are men who call it coldness, call it something died inside. I call it the highest architecture a man can build in his own mind. Every impulse is a test, every craving is a door, and behind every door I've mastered is a room I own once more. I've sat with every demon at the table eye to eye. Didn't flinch, didn't feed them, didn't ask them how or why. Just observed them like a general reading maps before the dawn. By the time they thought they had me, I was already gone. They say the flesh is powerful, I say the mind is more. The man who rules his inner kingdom never loses any war. I don't react, I don't collapse, I don't chase what the body acts. When the fire rises up in me, I watch it, I name it, I let it be. Then I choose, then I move, then I leave it where it stood. The animal's still alive in me. I'm just the one who understood. In the dream I am a room with no windows. In the dream every wall is a decision I make. In the dream the animal comes to the table, sits across from me, puts its hands on the blade, and I pour two glasses, one for what I want, one for what I'll do. I drink mine slow, I watch the other glass until the warning passes through. Because discipline is not the absence of desire, it is desire on its knees. It is a fire that learned to heat the room without burning down the trees. It is the most violent thing a man can do to himself. Done quietly, done daily, done alone with no one watching and no trophy on the shelf. This is the monastery of one. These are the vows, no church ordained. This is the altar built from every morning I rose before the warning came. I am the monk and I am the silence. I am the rule and I am the cell. I am the man who mastered every heaven by learning how to master every hell. So when you see me still and steady, when you wonder where the edges went, know that nothing here is missing. Everything was deliberate and spent. Every softness was examined, every sharpness was refined. You are not seeing a man without a fire, you are seeing fire. Read a zine. I don't react, I don't collapse, I don't chase what the body asks. When the fire rises up in me, I watch it, I name it, I let it be. Then I choose, then I move, then I leave it where it stood. The animal is still alive in me. I'm just the one who understood. The animal is still in here. I feed it what it needs. No more, no less. The mind decides the menu. Every morning, every night, every time. The mind decides. I didn't call to tell you why I left. I didn't write to make you understand. Some men spend their whole lives in apology. I spend mine moving where I plan. You can read my silence any way you want. Build your story, fill the gaps with hate. I was already 3 miles down the road before you finished asking me to wait. I've been misread by better men than you, been called cruel by those I set free. The only explanation that I carry is the one I give to me. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reasons, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's the full amount. I don't explain, the action was the word, the silence was the sentence, and the sentence has been heard. I watch men burn their dignities, begging room to understand their case, turning every exit to a courtroom, every goodbye to a public disgrace. I made my peace with being misunderstood before the world had shaped my face. Mystery is not a wall I built to hide behind, it's the ground beneath my pace. They need the story, need the why, need the chapter and the verse. I need nothing but the road ahead and whatever comes first. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reasons, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's the full amount. I don't explain, I don't explain. I've been the open what I chose to end. There's a power in the man who never feels a need to prove, who lets the rumors fill the room and simply continues to move, who signs no statements, makes no cases, calls no witness to his name, who understands that those who need explaining lost before they came. I've been the villain in their version, been the ghost in their account. Let them write whatever keeps them sleeping, I don't need a mount. The defense of what I did, or the reason that I went. Some truths are only visible to the man who paid the rent. My dog never asked me where I'd been, never needed the receipt. He reads the entry, not the story, feels the ground beneath my feet. That's the only kind of company a man like me requires. Someone who responds to presence, not to words dressed up as fire. So pour the glass and let them wonder, let them theorize a night. The man who never explains himself is usually the one who's right. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reasons, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's the full amount. I don't explain. The action was a word, the silence was the sentence, and the sentence has been heard. No statement, no defense, no case to make, no audience, just a road, just the dog, just the man and his mom. I don't live by what they wrote in the book, don't bow to what they preach. I build my code in the dark alone, too deep for them to read. Not from cruelty, not from pride, but from everything I paid. Every line I live by, brother, was written by a blade. I'm broken men who broke their word. I walk from gold for lead. I've burned the bridge, I've paid the toll, without a single breath of protest. They called it madness, called it pride, called it too much and too far. I called it the only thing I own, the only thing that's ours. I don't need your law, I don't need your Bible or your court. I answer to a code that no man living has the right to soar. I know what I will do and what I'll never do for gain. I've paid the price in full, in silence every single time again. This is my law, written in the only ink that lasts. My own blood, my own word, my own past. I've sat at tables full of reasons to bend, to compromise, to fold, where smart men took the easy exit and left their honor at the door. I stayed and paid what staying cost me, didn't flinch, didn't explain. You don't get to understand my code, just know it won't be changed. Some nights the code costs everything, the dealers leave their hand, but a man who sells his principles has nothing left to stand. So I poured a glass and settled in, and let the quiet be enough. The only chord that matters to me sits in here, and it is tough. No applause, no witness, no one watching when I chew. The code don't care if you're winning, the code don't care if you lose. I don't need your law, I don't need your Bible or your court. I answer to a code that no man living has the right to sort. I know what I will do and what I'll never do for gain. I've paid the price in full, in silence every single time again. This is my law, written in the only ink that lasts. My own blood, my own word, my own path.
walk away clean, to rewrite what happened, to unsay what you mean. I've stood at every one of those doors with a handle in my hand, and walk back to the fire every time, because that's where I stand. Not because I had to, not because they know, but because the man I am at midnight is the only man I'll show, and the only judge that frightens me lives right behind my eye. He doesn't trade in excuses, he doesn't deal in lies. My dog never questioned what I am, never needed me explain. He just stays beside the code with me through everything we sustain. We don't talk about what it has cost, don't count what we have lost. Some things are simply worth the wait, no matter what the cost. So let the last one pour it slow, let the cello say the rest. The man who lives by his own code dies clean inside his chest. Not rich, not praised, not understood, but something harder to define. Intact, completely, fully, finally, every broken, faithful line.
Send me where the fire burns the hardest, was where I belong, where other men are losing all their footing, is where I find my song. I was not built for comfort, not assembled for the calm. I was forged inside the wreckage, and I carry every scar like a song. Send me to the chaos, this is my natural ground. I'm the only thing not moving. When the whole world's spinning round, they fall apart in pieces, I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos, watch me come alive, where every other man is a breaking, is exactly where I thrive. There's a stillness in the center of a storm you understand, a place so deep inside the danger where the noise can't reach the man. Crisis has a way of sorting every man into his rank, the ones who freeze and the ones who function, those who float and those who sink. They ask me how I hold everything collapses. I say chaos is a language I've been speaking since the black. Send me to the chaos, that's my natural ground. I'm the only thing not moving. When the whole world's spinning round, they fall apart in pieces. I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos, watch me come alive, where every other man is a breaking, is exactly where I thrive. Pressure is a filter, brother, and I welcome what it shows. The man who doesn't crack underweight is the man the table knows. I am not immune to breaking. I have broken, I have bled, but I learned to break in private and be functional instead. Some men pray the storm won't find them. I pray it comes in fast, because I know what lives inside me only wakes when things collapse. My dog feels it when I'm ready, stands a little straighter too. We don't rehearse what can't be spoken, we just move the way we do. So pour the glass without apology for who you had to be. The man who thrives inside the chaos doesn't need their sympathy. Send me to the chaos, there's my natural ground. I'm the only thing not moving. When the whole world's spinning round, they fall apart in pieces. I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos, watch me come alive, where every other man is a breaking, is exactly where I thrive. The storm never scared me, it called me by name. Where they saw destruction, I only saw the game. Send me, send me.
I built this empire with my bare and bloodied hands. Every room I walk into, no one understands. They see the suit, the glass, the calm behind my eyes. They don't see the nights I spent burning just to rise. The higher that you climb, the thinner is the air. You look around the table and there's no one left up there. Just you and your reflection in a glass of amber gold, paying every single day for a life you chose to hold. They say power is a blessing, I say power is a grave. You dig it with your silence, you fill it with your rage. This is a price nobody sees, the crown that cuts your forehead while you bleed. The room gets bigger, emptier and cold. This is the cost of being too strong to be controlled, too rare to be understood, too high to be consoled. I check the door twice every night before I close my eyes. Paranoia is the shadow of the man who paid the price. Every smile now has a motive, every handshake has a blade. I learned to walk through crowded rooms and still feel like a shade. I don't sleep the way I used to, don't trust the way I should. The wolves wear expensive suits now in this quiet neighborhood. So I pour another whiskey, let the silence fill the space. Power tastes like iron, brother, with a ghost behind your face. They toast to your success now, but they don't know the way of standing at the mountaintop with no one left to wait. This is a price nobody sees, the crown that cuts your forehead while you bleed. The room gets bigger, emptier and cold. This is the cost of being too strong to be controlled, too rare to be understood, too high to be consoled. By my side, no brother, no reflection, no guide. I look for one in every darkened hall, found only echoes, found only walls. The devil doesn't scare me anymore. I've had dinners with him on the 40th floor. He looked across the table, said you and I are one. I smiled and said nothing like the powerful ones. Loneliness at the top is not a wound you show, it's the tax you pay in silence for the empire that you've grown. No one warned me that the mountain will be this cold, this still, that the view from the very summit is the loneliest thrill. dog still looks at me the same. No agenda in his eyes. In a world of moving pieces, he's my only true ally. I pour the last drop slowly, watch the city lights below. 1,000 lives still burning, none of them will ever know what it costs to be untouchable, what it costs to stand alone. Every decision, every silence, every night you don't come home. This is the gentleman's burden. This is the dark blues truth. Power never comes for free, son. It always takes from you. This is the price nobody sees, the crown that cuts your forehead while you bleed. The room gets bigger, emptier and cold. This is the cost of being too strong to be controlled, too rare to be understood, too high to be consoled. Nobody told you the throne was this cold. Nobody warned you that silence grows old. But you keep standing like iron in the dark, paying the price with the scars on your heart.
Never raised my voice a day in all my grown-up years. Every room I've ever walked into got quiet when I appear. I don't wear my power loud, don't carry it like a gun. It walks about 3 steps ahead of me before I've even come. I've seen big men find the exit when they saw me at the door, not because I said a word to them, but they knew what I was for. There's a language in the stillness that the body understands, more than any threat you'll ever make, more than any reprimand. And I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn. The presence does the talking since the day that I was born. Study how I hold the glass, the way I take my seat, the way I never rush a thing,
I find my feet. Power without performance is the rarest thing alive. Most men spend their whole life shouting just to feel like they survive. I learned it from the old one, from the men who built in dark, who never needed an audience, who never played a part. The wolf does not announce himself before he owns a field. The most dangerous men you'll ever meet are the ones who never yield. No theater, no performance, no fire, no display, just the weight of what I carry clears a path without a say. I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn. The presence does the talking since the day that I was born. There's a kind of man the world produces once every generation, who doesn't need a crown to be a king, doesn't need an invitation. He moves through rooms the way the tide moves through the shore, not asking for permission, not keeping any score. I've been mistaken for indifference, for coldness, for remove, but the men who know the game know exactly what I prove, that the quietest force in any room is always the most real. The ones who never flinch don't need to tell you how they feel. I don't collect their fear like trophies, don't savor what I own. I simply move the way I move, the way I've always known. And if the room goes still around me, if the voices slowly die, it isn't something that I do, brother, it's simply who I am. My dog doesn't bark at shadows, doesn't growl without a cause. He reads the room the same way I do, with stillness, not with claws. We walk the same long corridor, we keep the same slow pace. Two creatures who don't need to prove the power in their face. So pour the whiskey without speaking, let the cello fill the dark. Some men light the room with fire, I light it with the dark. The gentleman who says the least is always heard the most, and the one who never threatens is the one they fear the most. I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn. The presence does the talking since the day that I was born. silence. The room already knows before I say a thing. The room already knows. I never learned to beg, never learned to break. I built my throne from every scar, every shattered mistake. The devil came and knocked one night, said, boy, you look like me. I pulled two glasses, took a sip, and let the bastard speak. He said, you never win this war. I said, I know, I said, I know. But I walk straight through the fire, even if I walk alone. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can see. I carry iron in my bones and silence in my speech. Every king walks alone through the dark and through the cold. Men who fear nothing are the ones who bear it all. Another long night poured, whiskey in a cracked glass. The road outside is empty, like every prayer from my past. I don't need their applause, don't need their hollow praise. I've been burning slow and steady since my darker days. The wolves outside are howling loud. I say let them sing, let them sing. This silence is my armor, and this pain is everything. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can't see. I carry iron in my bones and silence in my speech. Every king walks alone through the dark and through the cold. Men who fear nothing are the ones who bear it all. I walked the ruins and called them home. I kissed the ash, stood alone. No one gave me what I built, no hand reached down through the guilt. I am the storm that moves in silence, I am the scar without defiance, the gentleman who never folds, the dark blue running through my soul. Now I sit beside the window, watch the headlights
moments pass on by. My dog curls up beside me underneath the cold dark sky. We don't need the world to see us. We don't need the world to know. Some men are building silent, some men rise when no one's told. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can see. I carry iron in my bones and silence in my speech. Every king walks alone through the dark and through the cold. Men who fear nothing are the ones who bear it all. Move inside, let the blues do the talking. Every scar a medal, every night just keep walking. They ask me how I sleep at night after everything I've done. I said, like a man who made his choice before the battle was begun. I don't care what I left behind, don't mourn what had to fall. The coldest room inside my chest is the one that runs it all. They cried, I calculated. They froze, I moved ahead. While they were feeling everything, I was 3 steps from the end. It isn't that I have no soul, I just taught mine to wait. Emotion is a currency I spend at the right place.
Cold enough to win, cold enough to win.
While you're drowning in the feeling, I'm walking through the wind. They mistake my silence for emptiness, my stillness for defeat. But the coldest men in history were the hardest to delete.
Cold enough to win, cold enough to win.
Ice inside my bloodstream, fire underneath my skin. I watch men lose their empires because they love too loud. Let emotion write the contract, let the heart replace the head. I've been there once, I learned it once, I never went back again. The scar taught me the difference between feeling and the wind.
Pour the whiskey, still no tremor in this hand that holds the glass. I have bared every weakness in a grave without a mask. They call me cold, I call it armor, call it discipline refined. The man who masters his emotions masters everything in time. You think I don't feel the fire? I feel it every day. I just never let it steer me, never let it have its say.
Cold enough to win. Cold enough to win.
While you're drowning in the feeling, I'm walking through the wind. They mistake my silence for emptiness, my stillness for defeat. But the coldest men in history were the hardest to delete.
Cold enough to win. Cold enough to win.
Ice inside my bloodstream, fire underneath my skin. Let me tell you what the cold really is. It is an absence, it is an emptiness, it is an emptiness. It's the rage that learned to sit down at the table. It's the grief that learned to wait. It's the love that learned to function even under all that weight. It's the man who watched it all burn and still showed up straight. I felt everything they felt, I just refused to let it drive. Emotion is a passenger, discipline keeps me alive. So when they shake and stall and stumble, when they panic at the call, I adjust the tie, I light the cigar, and I count what they just lost. Others hesitate, I execute, others negotiate with fear. I just move the boardroom or the battlefield, the outcome is the same. The coldest player at the table always wins the game. My dog reads me better than they do, feels the stillness in my bones, knows the difference between empty and a man who walks alone. Even he has learned the language of the silence that I keep, the calm that lives on top of everything that runs too dark and deep. So pour the last glass slowly, let the city fade to black. The man who feels nothing publicly feels everything intact. He just chose the battlefield wisely, chose to bleed on his own time. Cold enough to win the war, brother, warm enough to still be mine.
Cold enough to win. Cold enough to win.
While you're drowning in the feeling, I am walking through the wind. They mistake my silence for emptiness, my stillness for defeat. But the coldest men in history were the hardest to delete.
Cold enough to win. Cold enough to win.
Ice inside my bloodstream, fire underneath my skin. Cold not cold.